Smithfield, and certainly just south of Burrillville. Right now, this storm is tracking off to the east. So everywhere within this purple polygon, we do have a tornado warning. We'll widen out the view, give you some perspective here. This is downtown Providence itself, Smithfield and Scituate, and Route 6 and Route 44. Now, we're not sure if this has been observed on the ground. Sometimes we'll get a tornado warning when radar indicates that there's some rotation, and we talked about this earlier in our newscast about 10 minutes ago. So more than likely, Weather Service feels as though there's enough radar data to suggest there may be a possible tornado with this. We can take a look at a radar product. It's called a shear product, and usually when we see this, it doesn't look like much, but this little thin green line right in here, this is an indication that now this was approaching Killingly, Connecticut, that this storm did have some rotation. Now this is Route 395 and the Connecticut-Rhode Island border right in here. So that tornado warning in effect. Just want to just generally go over some tornado safety rules. If you're in that tornado warned area, you want to stay away from windows. Go to the basement, take your laptop or your iPad or your phone, and you can keep contact with information. But if you don't have a basement, go to an interior room or the lowest level on your windows, perhaps under a stairwell, or certainly in the basement. Put as many walls in between you and the tornado itself. Again, we don't have any confirmation of one on the ground, but radar does suggest enough evidence that there may be a tornado trying to form, and why the tornado warning has been issued. I want to give you kind of a schematic as far as what to do, looking at a kind of a general layout. And quite simply, all the areas in red you don't want to be in. You want to be essentially underground. These interior areas, these areas shaded in green, whether it's a bathroom or interior hall or an interior stairwell. Notice the outside walls right in here. So these red zones you want to stay away from. You want to be in the interior portion of your home if you don't have a basement, and you certainly want to be underground. So I want to talk to you about in more detail as to where this specifically this tornado warning is. National Weather Service Doppler radar has issued a tornado warning for east central Windham County in northern Connecticut, western Providence County in Rhode Island. This is until 4:45. Now, just a few minutes ago, a thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Foster, about 10 miles northeast of Plainville, Connecticut. It's moving east at 25. Now, we don't have any confirmed report of a tornado on the ground, but radar is indicating that there may be a tornado at least trying to form within this thunderstorm cell, and it's the reason why the tornado warning has been issued. Regardless, this is a dangerous storm, so other communities, Johnston, Smithfield, Scituate, Gloucester, and Foster, and certainly out towards Weston, Cranston, and Burrillville, and North Smithfield, want to watch this situation very closely as this storm is tracking off to the east and northeast. And again, right in here, underneath the basement would be the safest place to be. I'm going to switch back over to the Doppler radar. Well, first of all, you can see the skies are rather dark in downtown Providence right now. In the city itself, we're not seeing any kind of stormy weather, but you can certainly look off to our north and west, and that's where we're seeing this severe thunderstorm, which is capable of producing a tornado. So I'm going to go back to the Doppler radar system and show you exactly where this storm is located and where we have this tornado warning. And again, it's for far northwestern Rhode Island and northeastern Connecticut. We'll switch things over to our Doppler radar source, and we can go back to CG8 if possible. And you can see this is where the tornado is located. It is this purple polygon. That storm now tracking in the far northwestern corner of the state. We can get in real close here, and it's in between Route 44 and into Route 6. Now, this includes Route 101. That would include Route 94, getting ready to cross, this looks like 102 in Gloucester, and heading towards Smithfield as well. It is tracking off to the east, northeast at about 25 miles per hour. Here's the wider view of that. Elsewhere, we don't have any severe weather. When we take a look at, we can take a look at velocity within the storm. And I know this doesn't look like much, but when we start to see these couplets of, and this is right along Route 101, when we start to see these couplets, in fact, let me stop the motion of this here, these couplets of red and orange right in here. This is an indication that that's where we have some rotation within this storm. So we're specifically looking at Route 101 and just north of Route 44. And this is the purple polygon where we have the tornado warning. If you look at this very thin green line that started out towards Willimantic, Connecticut, this is usually a tip-off as to something is trying to develop as far as a possible tornado. This is kind of what we call a shear track. And if you remember at the top of our newscast, we were talking about how we were somewhat concerned with this little area of green indicating that some rotation was approaching Killingly and close to the Rhode Island border. Let me just remove the polygon for just a second. And there you go. So if you had to say, well, this green line represents the possibility of where this tornado-producing thunderstorm may be, this is pretty much it, as it's now crossed over the Connecticut-Rhode Island border. This is now in between, Chop Mist and in the Foster area along. This would be Route 94, and this is tracking off to the northeast at about 15 to 20 miles per hour. And again, this includes Foster, South Foster, Situate, Saundersville, and now that would be in northern Rhode Island. Greenville is included in this, as well as Gloucester and Smithfield. It does not quite include Johnston and downtown Providence, but we're looking off to the west of Providence, and we do see dark skies. That's not to say that it can't get perhaps extended beyond that. So we'll switch back over to the Doppler radar, and you can see these vivid colors of red and orange right in here, indicating where this possible tornado may be found. This is tracking north and east, and we've certainly seen some signatures on Doppler radar that indicates that this may be a possible tornado. So if you're watching us in the Foster, Gloucester area, Greenville, I would get to your safe place right now. Smithfield, I would get to your safe place right now as well. It looks like it's moving just north of Situate, but watching it closely, but it appears to be moving across Route 102 right now. In fact, you can get a different look at it. In fact, we'll put the tornado warning underneath the radar, and you can see it's generally right in, let's stop this now. It's generally right in this location here, where there may be a possible tornado. If anyone in the newsroom, in the control room, can somehow get any reports from either the Situate or the Foster Gloucester police, let's give them a call, see what they're seeing. We certainly need some kind of confirmation. The Doppler radar is indicating that something may be on the ground, but we're certainly looking for some confirmation. This is tracking off now in this general direction. So Gloucester, Greenville. Now notice downtown Providence, Western Cranston, Johnston, North Providence. You're not quite in this tornado, purple tornado warning yet, but you do need to be on guard as well. I'm going to switch over now to our velocity product, our shear product. And you can see some of those elements of green that are still tracking in that general direction. So this is a kind of a tip-off that we may have some rotation. We'll switch over to our velocity product. And again, it's right within that circle. We feel as though there may be some possible rotation within this storm as it tracks off to the east and northeast. So if you're just tuning in right now, we do have a tornado warning for the areas in purple. And this is until at least 4:30, 4:45 in the afternoon. And now this is really the only severe storm that we have in the area right now. And this is that purple polygon that is now in the northwestern Rhode Island. Seeing signs of a possible rotation. We don't have confirmation as of yet that a tornado is on the ground, but certainly the Doppler radar is indicating that this may have some rotation. Now, this little appendage, I know it doesn't look like much. In fact, let me stop the loop one more time here. This appendage here on the radar doesn't look like much, but we've seen this before. That's a tip-off that right in here. We're not saying that there's anything on the ground, but the possibility is there. This would be in between Route 6 and Route 44, and this is tracking off to the west. So areas in here you want to get to your safe place. There's a possible tornado maybe on the ground. We'll widen out the view. You can see there's more storms out in eastern Connecticut that we'll have to watch as well. We switch over to our velocity product, and Let's get another close-up look. I don't see a real strong signal of what I would call a tight rotation. So it remains to be seen whether or not this is in fact a tornado on the ground. But certainly the radar is showing some signals that are strong enough so that the Weather Service has kind of pulled the trigger on this with a possible tornado warning. If anyone in our control room or in our newsroom that's hearing anything on the scanners, certainly let me know here in the studio. But if you're just tuning in, this is a tornado warning which has been issued until 4:45. So radar indicates a severe thunderstorm capable. It doesn't necessarily say there's one on the ground, but capable of producing a tornado near Foster. At last check, this was 10 miles northeast of Plainville, Connecticut. Now this is moving off to the east at about 25 miles per hour. We'll put the radar back on, and this is right in here. So Gloucester, Route 44, Route 6, 116, 102. This is approaching Chopmist. If you're in Chopmist, Greenville, and certainly Johnston, while you're not technically included in the warning, you're right on the border of this. This looks like it's getting ready to cross over Route 102, potential for any kind of flying debris, regardless of whether or not. Okay, and I'm getting reports from our newsroom, and we've contacted some law enforcement and scanners. We have no damage being reported, nor do we have any reports of a tornado actually on the ground. So, keep in mind, there are two reasons why we'll issue a tornado warning. One is the obvious, and that is if a tornado is spotted on the ground. The other is if radar is indicating enough signals so that there may be a tornado. So Johnston, Smithfield, Gloucester, Foster, all watching this very well as Weston Cranston, until at least 4:30, 4:45. We'll keep a close eye on the situation here. But the tornado warning continues in this purple area. And again, we're getting real close, and we'll look at some specific towns. We're looking at Gloucester, Chopmist, Greenville, Walden Corners. It does include Smithfield, just barely the edge of Smithfield right now, Spring Grove. And again, the potential rotation within this storm is located near Route 102 and Chopmist. So we're going to get another vantage point on the Doppler radar, and we'll show this once again. Now, keep in mind, this is very localized, and it's essentially confined to northwest Rhode Island. Now, regardless of whether or not a tornado actually forms, this is certainly a strong thunderstorm in terms of downpours, lightning, and at least some damaging straight-line wind. Now, when we say Providence County, this is northern Rhode Island. For now, does not include the Providence area. It's Providence County, which is essentially northern Rhode Island. And then we're looking at the cell now, real close in between Route 44 and Route 6. So Kim and Kayla, watching the situation very closely, trying to see if we have any confirmed reports from law enforcement or from any weather watchers that are in the area. No confirmed. I just got word from the newsroom. We're listening to our scanners. We're calling law enforcement in this area. We don't have any reports of a funnel or a tornado on the ground, but the fact that the radar is indicating some significant rotation is the reason why the Weather Service has issued this tornado warning for this small polygon right in here. Yeah, and Tony, we know that tornado warning is in place until 4:45 at least, unless they extend it for a little bit longer. And we know even before we came on the air here at 4, you were sort of watching this rotation. You came into the newsroom and said, hey guys, heads up, I'm watching this. I want you to talk us through again, if you will. I know we've talked about this before. What is the difference, Tony, between a tornado warning, which is what we're in right now, and a tornado watch? Well, tornado watch just means that the conditions are possible for tornadoes to form, or watching, it's a possibility, whereas a warning is issued for two reasons, or two ways. One is clearly the obvious one, and that is a tornado has been spotted on the ground. So several weeks ago, when we had the tornadoes in Situate, we had confirmation and video of a tornado on the ground. As of now, we don't have any of that confirmation right now, but because the radar can look inside these storms and show some rotation, it can sometimes be a tip-off that, hey, something out of the ordinary here within this thunderstorm. We've got some rotating winds just above the ground, and whether or not those rotating winds are reaching the ground remains to be seen. But the Weather Service certainly feeling strong enough so that they issued the tornado warning. This is Route 6, so this is the northwest part of the state. You see some dark skies. You don't see much in the way of precipitation. Is this Route 6 and 101? Okay, so we don't see anything in that particular area, but it is the area that we're watching very closely. If you're just tuning in, tornado warning for northwest Rhode Island, Providence County. Now, it's until 4:45. It was issued like 10, 15 minutes ago. It may get extended as this purple polygon right in here. So this is Smithfield, Situate, downtown Providence is right in here, and the cell that we're watching is right in here. It's essentially in between Route 44 and Route 6. At last check, we do have indications that it is moving east-northeast at about 25 miles per hour. So I want to just sort of get rid of the polygon so I can show you where the actual storm is located itself. And you can see on Doppler radar, it is right in here. It is tracking, this is Gloucester, and it is tracking east and northeast. So if you're watching us in North Providence, Johnston, Smithfield, and North Smithfield, we're going to watch this storm very closely. Looking at the Doppler radar, and we can see the potential is there for hail, half-inch in size. Probability of severe hail running at about 20–30%, certainly downpours, and at least the potential for some straight line, strong damaging wind. And here's the wider view, give you some perspective. And we're looking at the one product that we have on the Doppler radar. Okay, this is interesting. Let me get in real close here. All right, that is, just bear with me now. I know this just looks like a bunch of nonsense colors, but I'm going to explain this to you and why we're somewhat concerned. All right, so you're getting real close here, and it's these little couplets of green and red, and it's an indication of rotation. And the physics on this is pretty simple. It shows, the red shows wind blowing towards the radar, and the green shows the wind blowing away from the radar. And then what that infers is that there may be some sort of a spin within this area. Now, this is just north of 101. This is this looks like it's approaching Greenville right now, or just to the west of Greenville, and it's essentially in between Route 44 and Route 6. So if you're just tuning in, we do have for Providence County and specifically for far northwestern Rhode Island, this tornado warning. It is for the northwest part of the state. Notice most areas are actually quiet at this time, but this storm continues to track off to the east and northeast. We'll get in real close here. Smithfield, Route 295. Do me a favor in the control room, and let's start showing at least any cameras that we can show along DOT cameras along Route 295. That would be somewhat helpful. And I'm not sure of some of the cameras we have on Route 44 and Route 6, but you can certainly in the control room be my eyes as far as seeing if there's anything potentially on the ground. So Kim and Kayla, being cautious here, even though we don't have any reports of a tornado on the ground. Weather Service feels as though there's enough evidence on Doppler radar so to issue this little small purple polygon of a possible tornado within this area.
And Tony, about 15 minutes ago, you had showed a graphic, short of telling people what they could do to take caution, stay away from any windows, maybe go to the basement. That's important not only in that purple polygon that you're showing on the map, but people just in that general area.
Exactly. In fact, I'm glad you bring that up. I'm going to step off camera one more time. I do want to show this tornado safety graphic as far as, and we've all heard this before, and we'll certainly repeat it once again. If you're in this purple polygon, you want to get to your safe shelter right now. So let me show you some general tips here. Away from windows. We'll take our computer one more time if we can to CG8. Can we do that right now? So you want to get away from windows. You go to the basement or an interior room or on the lowest floor. Underneath a stairwell, put as many walls in between you and the tornado itself. Again, we don't have any confirmation that there's a tornado on the ground, but we're being proactive and cautious just to be on the safe side. All right, I want to show you 295. So far, so good here. We're not seeing anything as far as just 295 and Route 6. Now, granted, unfortunately, we are looking at the ground rather than the sky itself, but we don't see anything in this general area. So good news in that regard. But like I said before, the tornado warning is issued based on two reasons. One is that if a tornado is actually on the ground, and that is the obvious. And then the other indication is that radar is indicating there's enough rotation within the thunderstorm to prompt a tornado warning. I want to kind of just show you a schematic here. So this is the lowest level. First of all, you want to be in the lowest level of your house. You want to be avoiding. So now you see these are the exterior of a home. So you don't want to be near these exterior walls. You want to be in the center. The green area is the safe area. That includes the bathroom. Now this is, if you don't have a basement, this is where you would want to be. But if you do have a basement, and we'll kind of remove the banner just briefly for 1 second, you want to be underground right in here. Take your phone, take a cell phone or an iPad or a tablet so you can stay in touch. If you know of someone that lives in this area, they may not be watching TV or anything like that, give them a call, let them know that there's some severe weather coming through, but this would be general tornado safety. I want to show you Providence. Now, obviously this storm is to the west of Providence, and only about 10 miles west of Providence, and you can clearly see, I mean, this is just pitch black, dark skies off to our west, so that's where the storm is. And while downtown Providence is not in the tornado warning, we're going to watch the situation for downtown Providence right now, but we're looking at generally at Chopness, Smithfield, North Smithfield, Greenville, especially in between the Route 44 and Route 6 corridor. Kim and Kayla?
And Tony, we've got another 10 minutes or so until this warning either expires or is extended. As you mentioned, our newsroom has been checking in with these affected areas in that purple polygon that you've been showing us. And we just heard from our Mike Montecalvo that he spoke with the Situate EMA director. So far, nothing to report there, no damage that they've seen so far. But of course, we're scouring social media, asking our viewers to be very safe and to stay away from the windows if you're in this area or surrounding areas. Head to the basement if you have one. But of course, be weather aware. And if you see something that you can safely share with us, you can just send it to reportit@WPRI.com. Again, safety being the priority here. But we are monitoring any reports of damage. So far, at least from Situate, we haven't heard of any potential tornado touching down or any damage being caused there yet, Tony.
Yeah, and obviously we're being very, very cautious. It's not often that that the Weather Service will pull the trigger on a tornado warning. If this ends up being straight line wind and not a tornado, then that's great news. But we just want to let you know that at least the Doppler radar is indicating that there's some rotation within this. So this is 295. So this is just on the edge of Route 295. This would be in the Smithfield area. So we're looking at 295 and Route 44, and fortunately, as of now, we don't see anything, but that area is included in the tornado warning. In fact, here's the wider view, and you can see it's right in here. We can get in close and look at some, again, as we talked about, some of the tornado safety. We want to get it to the lowest level of your home, the lowest floor, and certainly in a basement. Just as a precaution, take your cell phone, your iPad, your phone, just to make sure that, in fact, you want to be in your safe area. I mean, there are times when, the radar will indicate there's a possible tornado, there's no tornado, and then all of a sudden, within minutes, it does start to form, and it does touch the ground. We haven't seen that. So again, the tornado warning is what we call radar indicated. Has not been spotted by anyone, but from law enforcement or from viewers anywhere. But the fact that the Doppler radar is certainly showing signs of a possible tornado is the reason why this tornado warning has been issued. All right, so the latest from the Weather Service at 4:28, a severe thunderstorm capable, and the Weather Service is using the word capable of producing a tornado, was located near Gloucester and near Johnston and moving east at about 25 miles per hour. So you know what? Let's kind of slow this down a little bit. In fact, let's just put it on the current right in here. So it's right within this polygon, in between 44 and Route 6, and this includes Smithfield and approaching Greenville. It's a dangerous storm. This Johnston, Smithfield, Burrillville, North Smithfield, Situate, Gloucester, all want to keep an eye on this. And again, the Weather Service is saying that radar indicates rotation, but doesn't necessarily have anything on the ground. So if you're watching us, this looks like it's north of now Route 101, Grand Army Highway, Hartford Pike, approaching Harmony and Cooper Road and Harmony in West Greenville. If you live on, say, Smithfield Ave, you want to watch this very, very closely, and certainly in Smithfield. But it looks like it is trying to cross Route 44 out towards Harmony and West Greenville. And I say, if you're watching us from Situate, if you're watching us from Smithfield right now, you want to be in your safe place. Just to be overly cautious here, you want to be in your safe place. You want to be in the lowest floor, and certainly underground. As we continue to track this, I'm going to take away the radar and just show you where the tornado warning is itself, and it's right in here. It'll give you some idea. Now, this is Route 44 right in here. It's essentially, the rotation is somewhere in this general area, and that would include Route 16. This includes Greenville, West Greenville. Now, if you're in North Providence, Route 44, Georgiaville, Stillwater, and even in Johnston, I would watch this closely, though. It looks as though this rotation may be just to the north and west of Johnston. So I would say anywhere from Harmony, Greenville, especially Route 44, especially Smithfield, Stillwater, Georgiaville, North Smithfield Airport, and I would actually include North Smithfield as well. This storm is tracking off to the north and east. So let's show you some radar data. I want to take a look at the velocity once again. And this is usually a tip-off as to some possible rotation, and it's these green and red couplets right in here. If I had to really pick where this rotation may be, it's right in this general area, and the storm is tracking off now to the east and northeast towards Route 116. Would get closer to the Route 295 corridor. I tell you what, I mean, if you have a loved one, someone that's traveling on Route 295, they're not listening to the radio. They're not watching us here on Channel 12. Give them a call. Let them know that there's something approaching. They can take an exit and just kind of get off the highway. Of course, we saw just several weeks ago, actually, of a small tornado that did cross Route 295. So that is always helpful, because we realize that not everyone is watching television right now. We'll switch back over to Doppler radar, and this is the thunderstorm that we're tracking approaching Route 116 and now over Route 44. Let me switch over to the other product, which is the shear product. Okay, so when we start to see elements of green, this is an indication that, again, that there may be some rotation within this storm. And again, if you're just tuning in, this purple area is a tornado warning, which has been issued by the National Weather Service. A tornado has not been spotted or seen on the ground, but based on Doppler radar, there are indications that a tornado may be trying to form. This storm is tracking off now to the east and northeast at about 25 miles per hour. I want to switch over to, I want to see downtown Providence one more time. This storm is to your west. It is quiet in Providence, and so far so good. The storm is west of downtown Providence. My early thinking for Providence would be that this storm is going to stay to the north and west of Providence. So I think Providence Metro, you're going to be okay on this, but it's certainly more concerning in between Route 44 and Route 6, and now approaching Harmony and Smithfield. So that is the area that we're watching very closely. The Weather Service has this going until 4:45, but it may get extended beyond that. So here's the wider view. Again, this is very localized. Also, there are other strong thunderstorms. They're not tornadic, but there are other strong thunderstorms in Putnam and in northeastern Connecticut that'll be moving into the same area as well. So we look at 295 and 44 right now, and while we don't necessarily have a sky view here, we certainly have, well, yeah, you got a dark sky, but we don't have any reduced visibility or any sign of a funnel cloud or a tornado. So good news, again, we don't have any confirmation of one that is on the ground, but based on radar data, a tornado is possible. And again, it's this purple area right in here. So more than likely, the downtown Providence should be okay. Providence is right in here. We're seeing the sign tracking east, this storm tracking east and northeast towards Smithfield, North Smithfield, and more than likely should pass north and west of the Providence area. Now, this is set to expire at 4:45. It may get taken down altogether, or it may get extended a little bit further to the east and extend further east and northeast. So when we say Providence County, it doesn't necessarily mean it's downtown Providence. It's Providence County. It's northern Rhode Island, but more specifically, it is this purple polygon right in here, and this is until 4:45. But again, we're going on 4:41 right now, so this may get extended. If you're just tuning in, tornado warning has been issued for areas north and west of Providence, and in this small area, and this is a purple polygon, nothing confirmed on the ground, but potential that a tornado may be trying to form. So, we're going to stay with this until either this warning is taken down, or as each minute goes by, the radar is updating information and to suggest, well, the rotation is starting to weaken, it's starting to dissipate. Obviously, that would be good, or it may show signs that the rotation is not weakening. So again, quick overview. If you're in this tornado warned area, play it safe. You can grab your cell phone, your iPad, your tablets, head to the basement until this expires, but go to the interior, lowest portion of your home. If you don't have a basement, you want to be on the lowest bottom floor, away from exterior windows. Put as many walls between you and the tornado itself. Again, we are not seeing signs of any kind of a tornado on the ground. Not every house, certainly has a basement. So if you look at the schematic, on the first floor, the green areas are where you want to be. Interior, away from windows, away from. Okay, now this is brand new information, just extended now. The tornado warning now, that purple box has just been extended. Let me go back to my computer and show you this brand new graphic. So the National Weather Service feels as though that this is still a storm with some rotation. So you can clearly see now, and I'm going to get in real close here, that those purple boxes have been extended now further. And it doesn't surprise me that it does not include Providence. So this is brand new information. So we're going to extend this purple polygon now to include Pawtucket, to include Lincoln. And speaking of Lincoln, I do want our control room to eventually, not now, but in a few seconds, I want you to punch up the live Lincoln camera that we have over at Twin River. I do want to take a look at that. This is crossing Route 146 and crossing 295 right now. Potential rotation. Now again, potential rotation within this storm would be probably over Greenville, right in here. This is tracking off now to the east and northeast, approaching Lincoln right now. So this tornado warning has been extended. Let me get the latest from the Weather Service on this now. There's brand new information. West Central Bristol County in southeastern Massachusetts, northeastern Providence County. This is now until 5:15. It has been extended now for another half hour at 4:41. Severe thunderstorm capable, and they're using the word capable, of producing a tornado is located over Smithfield or near Johnston, moving east at about 25 miles per hour. Radar indicates rotation, and as long as the radar is indicating rotation, then we extend the tornado warning. Providence, Pawtucket, Cumberland, North Providence, Johnston, North Attleboro, Smithfield, Lincoln, Central Falls. This has been extended now until until 5:15. So let me get my ducks in a row here and reset this some of this information that I'm showing you right now. So Kim and Kayla, so far nothing confirmed on the ground from law enforcement or from the Weather Service. This is different. The initial tornado warning has expired, and now this is a new polygon, which is right in here. Do we have the Lincoln camera at all? I do want to. If we can punch that up in the control room, get in real close. And so now this is the new warning. Now it extends from Smithfield across 295, and it goes into southeastern Massachusetts as well. It includes Pawtucket and into Central Falls, and this is until 5. All right, 146 at 146A. Do we have that right now? Keep in mind, while this, okay, so now we're seeing reduced visibility and some downpours right now. Regardless of whether or not a tornado is actually on the ground, these storms are certainly capable of what we call straight line damaging wind. So while this is the main concern, also take note that there are more storms in northeast Connecticut and eastern Connecticut that'll be crossing over the Connecticut-Rhode Island border. And then the other concern here is that this is all this heavy rain passing over the same area. So while we're obviously concerned about any potential tornado, certainly some flash flooding is possible with these storms as they track off to the north and east. If you're just tuning in, this is a brand new tornado warning, this purple polygon. It does include, it's north of downtown Providence. So we talked about this just a few minutes ago that felt as though Providence itself should be okay, but it does include Attleboro, Central Falls, Pawtucket, and out towards Route 295. The rotation may be somewhere near Lincoln, Kim and Kayla, and Smithfield right now. And again, we talk about when tornado warnings are issued. They're issued under two reasons. One's the obvious, and that is the tornadoes on the ground. And our newsroom is calling law enforcement officials and weather spotters and things. We're checking our cameras. We don't see anything on the ground, but the fact that Doppler radar is showing some signals of rotation, playing it very cautiously here. And while the Weather Service has extended this tornado warning, this polygon, until 5:15.
Yeah, Tony, we're hearing from TJ Del Santo, who's been monitoring all of this remotely, and he said on Twitter, possible tornado in Greenville headed toward Pawtucket, reports of trees and wires down from Connecticut into Foster. We're looking at Shippey Schoolhouse Road, where we're seeing these reports of damage from this potential tornado. Again, it's important if you're in this area to seek shelter. Tony, I want to ask you something. We got some video from a viewer. We're going to show it to you. This appears to be a water spout. This is in the waters over Jamestown. We got this just a short time ago. I've got to imagine, Tony, this is unrelated to the current tornado warning that you've been monitoring. But yeah. What do you see when you take a look at this video? Well,
it speaks volumes to that the atmosphere is somewhat conducive to rotating thunderstorms. Interesting, only because on Doppler radar we are not seeing anything over Jamestown right now. So I would certainly double check this, but the fact that there was a water spout is just an indication that the atmosphere has what we call shear, and that there's possible rotation. So the areas that they're honing in on right now, if you're watching this, is Smithfield, Route 7, out towards Stillwater, the airport in Smithfield right now, Eddie Dowling Highway, this may be crossing into that area shortly, Harmony, Greenville, Georgiaville, Esmond, Route 44, Douglas Ave, and watching if you're in that area. This storm is tracking off now to the east and northeast. This tornado warning for the areas in purple. And in fact, I'm going to show you. Let's take a look at the velocity scan one more time here. So we'll get in close. I'm going to remove the tornado polygon just for a second so that we can see some data. And what we look for are these couplets of red and green. And I know it looks like just a bunch of colors on here, but it does give us a wealth of information. I don't see a real tight, what I would call a tight rotation indicating a very strong kind of rotation, but there is some broad rotation right in this general area that is tracking, getting ready to cross Route 7 right now. Let me switch over to what we call our shear product, and right in here. Okay, yeah, that's kind of a red flag. All right, so this green area indicating some turbulent wind, some strong wind, and this may be a signal that, in fact, that there may be some sort of rotation in here as the storm is tracking off. It's over Spragueville and approaching Stillwater and Georgiaville and getting ready to cross Route 7 as well. So the tornado warning now extended until 5:15. Let me put back the warning in purple, and I want to show you some of these communities. We'll get in here. Now, Kim and Kayla, you've got. I know you've been keeping in contact with information as well. What are you hearing on your end?
So we just got this information from one of our producers in the newsroom. Gloucester police say either a tornado or a microburst in Foster Center went through the western corner of Gloucester towards Smithfield. So police are now assisting people in both Foster and Gloucester. Again, just into our newsroom, per Gloucester police, they say either a tornado or a microburst happened there, went through the western corner of town towards Smithfield. We do have news crews on the way, Tony, heading to those areas where we've heard reports of damage so that we can get our eyes on this ourselves. Again, we had that video from a viewer showing that potential water spout over Jamestown, but we haven't seen any images yet of a funnel cloud in the areas that have been under this tornado warning now since earlier this hour.
So here's the situation. Now we're getting ground truth that there is, in fact, some damage within this thunderstorm path. And there's two kinds of damaging wind with a thunderstorm. The microburst, which is a straight line wind. It's not rotating wind. And then, of course, the tornado itself. Regardless, microburst or tornado, they're both dangerous. You're taking down whole trees and wires and you're causing damage. So it may not be tornadic, but it is significant. And here's the other problem. The soil in this area with 8, 9, almost 10 inches of rain in the last couple of days is soft and it's mushy. It would not take much of a wind to knock down trees as well. So if you're just tuning in, this is a brand new tornado warning until 5:15. It does include Lincoln. Just the northern, just barely touching Cumberland right now, and just outside of Attleboro, Central Falls, and into Pawtucket. Does not include Providence. This is until 5:15. Getting reports of damage, whether or not it is tornadic or straight line, it's one or the other. But as of now, we have not seen any classic picture of a funnel cloud or a tornado that is on the ground. But we're going to switch back over to Doppler radar, and we are over Smithfield right now, and this is a storm from Route 7, 116, Smithfield, Lincoln right now. This is tracking east-northeast at about 25 miles per hour. So this is north and west of Providence. Providence, you're out of the woods here as far as any kind of a potential tornado, but it does include a small sliver of North Providence, Central Falls, Pawtucket, Route 295. It looks like this is now approaching Stillwater, crossing 44 and 295. Now, I'm not sure what kind of a camera we have there at all via DOT, but it looks like it wants to be crossing over between 44 and 295 and not too far from the North Smithfield. So we're looking at 295. This is at 116. We have rain, we have thunder. We don't necessarily have any kind of a signature of a tornado on the ground, but this storm has had a history of producing some wind damage, whether or not it's been tornadic or just straight line, what we call microburst. But we're getting reports from law enforcement now that it has produced some damage. So regardless of whether it isn't in fact a tornado or just strong straight line winds, this is a damaging thunderstorm that is approaching the Smithfield Airport very shortly and getting ready to cross 295 and 95. So what I want to do is we're going to switch over back to our velocity product, and we'll show you any kind of potential rotation. So we're going to go to, this is what we call our shear product, these colors of green right into here. I know it doesn't look like much, but this is sort of a tip-off as to where this rotation or where some of this damaging wind may be. So we're looking at Stillwater Road, Spragueville, 116. This orange area is Route 295. This will be crossing over Route 7. This is tracking now to the east and northeast. So we're going to look at areas kind of downwind of this particular potentially damaging wind area. This would eventually be heading towards Route 146 and Lincoln in the next 25 to 30 minutes. This is 295 at 44 right now. Not seeing anything that would scream funnel cloud or tornado, but certainly some stormy weather. But if you're just tuning in right now, tornado warning has been issued. It's a brand new tornado warning. And let me put this purple polygon back on. This is until 5:15, and keep in mind, tornado warnings are issued for two reasons. One is if a tornado is actually spotted on the ground, or 2, radar indicates that there may be a possible tornado. Let's overlay the wind shear on here and take a look at this one more time. And then put this underneath. So it's right in here. There may be this possible damaging wind in rotation. This is tracking north and east. So Lincoln, this storm has not quite approached yet. I mean, you're getting rain and thunder, but any kind of possible damaging wind is headed your way in the next 15 minutes. This is essentially tracking in this general direction and getting ready to head towards Lincoln. I know we do have a camera in Lincoln that we'll try to take a look at shortly. But this tornado warning is in effect until 5:15. It does include Pawtucket, Lincoln, and it certainly covers a good portion of Route 295. All right, 295, 146, and we're certainly looking at some very dark skies right now. We can get a close-up look here, and yeah, well, that is just, very, very heavy rain. You know, the problem with some tornadoes is that they're what we call, and stay with this picture, I want to step in the front of the camera for a second. Sometimes they're what we call rain wrapped, and that sometimes a tornado may be on the ground, but because it's wrapped in rain and fog, sometimes you don't always see the funnel. But certainly, you're looking at this picture right now, and tell me once again, 295 where? 295, 146, and you can see at exit 18A, and on one side of the road, traffic is at a standstill. Outside of any potential tornado, flooding rains, thunder, lightning, and at least the potential for what we would call strong, straight exit 8. What is it? Exit 8C? 8C. So poor visibility. Now, whether or not there's an actual tornado on the ground here, we haven't had any confirmation. But we did get reports, and Kim, are you still on the mic? Kim, we had heard reports of some of this damage from, was it the Foster, Gloucester?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right, Tony. It was in the Foster area. And Kayla, what are you seeing as well? Because I'm seeing some stuff, the border of Killingley and Foster, trees and wires down on Shippey Schoolhouse Road. Mm-hmm. We do know that we have a crew on the way there as well to try and get our eyes on these reports of damage. And we did get a report just a short time ago, around 10 of, that Gloucester police say either a tornado or a microburst touchdown. So again, Tony, you explained that the difference between a tornado is obviously the rotation, microburst is straight line wind, so we're waiting to hear exactly what happened. But the Gloucester police are reporting this damage from some sort of a system that came through the western corner of Gloucester towards Smithfield, and police are now assisting people in both Foster and Gloucester because of that event.
And that would make sense because when we have so many different Doppler radar products. This particular product is called a shear track. It shows where there's been turbulent and potentially damaging wind over the last 2 hours. And note that track crosses Killingley into the Foster, Gloucester area. Now this is over the last 2 hours. So you can almost paint where this potentially damaging thunderstorm has been. This is sort of like a footprint of where it's been and where it's headed now towards across Route 295 in Lincoln. So this is kind of a strong signal of damaging wind. Now, whether or not it's the straight line microburst or tornadic remains to be seen, but this is certainly enough of a red flag with the data that we're seeing on Doppler radar to tell us that one reason why the tornado warning has been issued. So we can get in, I want to get in real close on this, and it's just this green stripe. It doesn't look like much, but this is essentially the path of some of the wind damage over 116, now crossing Route 7. And now downstream of this would be Ashton, Albion Road, Lincoln, Route 122. All in here, we're going to watch in this general area, and this is why the tornado warning has been issued. Again, reports of damage, but as of now, we haven't seen any confirmation of a tornado on the ground. If you are just tuning in, and we've been on the air now for about 45 minutes with a tornado warning issued by the National Weather Service for this area that is in purple right in here. Indications on Doppler radar that a tornado may be on the ground. We haven't had any confirmation, but you can see how this little green little speckle area, which indicates wind turbulence and perhaps rotation, coincides with this purple polygon, which is the tornado warning. Now this is until 5:15. It may get extended beyond that. If I had to pick a location as to where this rotation may be right now, I'm leaning towards the airport in Smithfield, seeing signs that this rotation, or at least this microburst near the airport, 146 Eddie Dowling Highway. You're in that area, get to your safe place, 116, where 295 is crossing 146, and towards Lincoln and Albion. Get to your safe place as well. It is this area right in here that we may have some potential wind damage. Whether or not is in fact from a tornado or straight line winds remains to be seen. I'm going to switch over now to Doppler radar and show you exactly where the storm is located right now. I'll get rid of the shear track. Let's try that one more time. And it is right in here. So again, it looks like it's approaching the airport in Smithfield right now, at least based on the latest Doppler radar. Let me get rid of the shear. Okay, and it's right in here. It doesn't look like much, but it's this little notch within the radar right here, essentially where there may be some possible rotation. This storm is tracking off now to the east and northeast. It is right over Douglas Pike, Route 7, Stillwater, and tracking towards 146 and Eddie Dowling Highway. We're going to continue to stay with this. We're going to join in now with Mike Monacovo and Shannon Heggie to continue our coverage of this possible tornado on the ground.
And we've been tracking this severe weather now for the last 45 minutes or so. It really started in the northwestern part of Rhode Island, as we've been hearing Tony talk about. It's now going through Lincoln and in North Smithfield.
And our crews in Providence actually just said they have seen, or heard, I should say, those warning sirens blaring from Brown University. Those went off the last time we had tornado warnings going on. And Tony, you don't see anything in the Providence area right now, even though it's we're talking about North Smithfield and maybe Lincoln too?
Yeah, Mike and Shannon, Providence, downtown Providence looking okay. And I would even include North Providence as well. This is essentially more towards Smithfield and Lincoln and North Smithfield right now. So Providence, you're out of the woods here. And if someone can just kind of, for my reference, we're looking at what, 146 at 295? Okay, and you can clearly see poor visibility, torrential downpours, and sometimes we can get tornadoes that are called rain-wrapped. Now, out in the Midwest, you see them plain as day, that generally the weather is clear and you can see the funnel, but sometimes in these parts, when you have such incredibly high humidity, the cloud base is so low that sometimes the funnel may be hidden within rain-wrapped areas. So regardless, we are getting reports of some damage in this area. We've had damage that started on the Connecticut-Rhode Island border. No confirmation of a funnel on the ground, but in a situation like this, particularly in that picture, sometimes it's difficult to see whether or not there is a funnel on the ground. So here's a close-up look on the Doppler radar, and the tornado warning is right in here from 295 in Smithfield and out towards Pawtucket, and it does include Attleboro. As Mike had mentioned, it is north of Providence right now. And you can track this green line, which started in Killingly, Connecticut. This is called a shear track. It's usually a footprint of wind damage. Whether or not it's microburst, straight line wind, or tornado remains to be seen. But now that little green shear track crossing 295 in Smithfield near the airport. This tornado warning is until 5:15. If you're just tuning in, Weather Service has issued a tornado warning for a small portion of northern Rhode Island. And, we issue these warnings for two reasons. One is if a tornado has actually been spotted on the ground. And then two, if radar is indicating that there's enough information to suggest that there may be some rotation. So the fact that we're getting reports of damage, the fact that this shear track, and we don't see this too often in as far as damaging thunderstorms. This green line is essentially the path of damage, whether it's a microburst or a tornado. It started in Killingly. We have reports of damage in parts of Foster right now, and this shear track is now moving. It crossed over 44. It's crossed over Route 7. The leading edge of it is. Let me shut the loop off for a second. Give you just to avoid any confusion here as far as the movement. It's right in here. Now this is out towards 116, getting ready to cross 146. I mean, we're seeing those pictures on 146 right now. just the sheets of rain and low clouds. This is heading towards Albion, Quinville. It is just to the north of Great Road in Lincoln right now. And, you know, Cumberland, you need to be in your safe place right now as this storm is tracking east-northeast. And then generally moving into this area right now. So the tornado warning has been extended until 5:15, and it may get extended beyond that, Mike and Shannon, as this tracks off to the east and northeast. There are more storms behind it. Now, these are very strong thunderstorms moving over the same area. So obviously, we're quite concerned about the wind damage and the potential tornado. These storms are moving over the same area, so more than likely we're going to be dealing with flash flooding once again, and potentially two kinds of wind damage, whether it's the microburst, which is a straight line wind, or the tornado itself. Now we're looking at, and someone can help me out here, 295 where?
All right, and you're watching 12 News now at 5 as we continue our severe weather coverage of a possible tornado that's going through the state of Rhode Island. Tony talking about Cumberland and Lincoln right now.
And a 12 News viewer actually sent us some video of a possible funnel cloud near the Jamestown Bridge. We're hoping to pull that up for you soon. It was taken earlier this afternoon. This is obviously outside the warning zone in Providence County, but when these tornado warnings first started coming through our system, we saw a few pictures and videos coming in from our reported and from viewers of what looked like funnel clouds or a forming water sprout. There you go, right here in Jamestown. Tony, so where was this all moving when you talk about, because now we're talking Foster Gloucester, so how did this all kind of start here?
Well, this was earlier in the afternoon. We had some storms that went through Jamestown and Newport. So this is valuable information now. This is, we would consider this a very weak water spout, but this is valuable information because what it's suggesting is that the atmosphere is conducive to either water spouts or possible tornadoes. In other words, there's a lot of shear in the atmosphere. So as these thunderstorms pass through, you have wind that's very strong that's blowing in different directions. And when that happens, you can sometimes get a spin within these thunderstorms, and the net result is a possible tornado. So the fact that we've had reports of wind damage, the fact that there was a water spout earlier, and the fact that we're looking at a thunderstorm that has potential rotation is a reason why this tornado warning has been issued until 5:15. Mike and Shannon?
All right, Tony, let's show you a photo sent in by viewer Brian McNeese. This was taken about an hour ago out of North Kingstown.
There's a possible funnel cloud in this video as well, rising above the water here. As Tony was just mentioning, this kind of signals that the atmosphere is really ready for rotation like this to form.
All right, let's show you some video out of the capital city where you can hear the warning sirens coming near Brown University.
This came through just a few minutes before 5 p.m. as we remain under a severe weather alert. Tony saying earlier that Providence, Tony, not necessarily in this tornado warning area, but nonetheless, those sirens going off as they did, a week or so ago, Mike, when we had 3 different tornadoes coming through.
All right, so we're looking at this potential tornado now moving across 295 and getting ready to cross 122. This would be Mendon Road. Get to your safe place. Albion in Lincoln, get to your safe place. If you're watching us in Cumberland, get to your safe place. What is your safe place? Well, you want to be in the basement. Take your cell phone, your iPads, your tablets, so you can stay in touch. Get in your basement as this storm now, potential tornado is approaching. Has not been confirmed, but regardless, even if it's not a tornado, we're getting reports of at least potential strong microbursts, which is strong straight line winds. There's been so much rain in this area. The ground, the soil is wet and soft. It wouldn't take much of a strong wind gust to knock down a tree. Manville, just within this tornado warning, if you're watching us up in Arnold's Mills, Abbott Run, Route 114, this storm is moving in your direction. Angel Road, Ashton, just to the north now of probably in the Quinville area as well, which is kind of near 116 and 122. This is tracking off now to the north and east. Mike, and Shannon, I'm going to send it back to you just for a quick second. I do want to set some different, I want to load some different weather data that I do want to show you. So that'll just for 1 second. But tornado warning for that area is until 5:15, as Doppler radar is indicating some possible rotation within this storm. We can go to our velocity product. What we're looking at here is the Doppler radar can actually detect whether or not there's possible rotation within the thunderstorm cell itself. So we can take away the actual purple polygon and show you the velocity scan. I realize this looks like a bunch of just kind of jumbled colors, but what we're looking at here is these couplets of red and orange right in here. So this tells me that there's some rotation. It may not be an overly strong rotation. I mean, but even a weak tornado is a significant weather event. I mean, by no means should we downplay this, but it doesn't look like the couplet of rotation is overly strong, but certainly enough of a red flag here to keep the tornado warning via the Weather Service, and the fact that we've already seen reports of some damage is the reason why we're staying with this, and how this tornado warning now is set to expire in 4 minutes, and more than likely what is going to happen here is the Weather Service is going to extend this perhaps a little bit longer beyond 5:15. I mean, based on the latest radar and this what we call these shear tracks, this green line is essentially the path of where some of this damaging wind has occurred. In fact, we'll put this on top of the warning.